transfer portal is wide open, and the transfer portal is absolutely insane. It's going to be open in January for one time only, January 3rd. It's either the 3rd or 4th that opens up, closes on the 16th, and that's it. No spring portal. It's just one time only. That's it. And it's provocative. And what I got to say here.
What does that mean?
What I have to say here is that we've already seen a couple quarterbacks hit. We've already seen some impactful players that are going to hit the portal. First one that comes to mind, Arizona State Sam Leavitt heading into the transfer portal. That one's going to be wild. Auburn's Jackson Arnold didn't have the best Auburn year, but he's going to be looking for a chip on his shoulder. We just started talking about Oklahoma. He had a pretty good year with Oklahoma last year. I think one of the best quarterbacks in all of G5, Colton Joseph out of Old Dominion, is going to be a stud at the Power 4 level next year, because he's definitely going to be on the Power 4 team and potentially could be a conference winning quarterback. That's how good I think he is. He's so electric. What are you taking from the transfer portal right now with some of the names you've heard that have already said they've gone in, and maybe how it could change the landscape of college football next year?
I mean, I do think this is going to be an electric window, just because you do only get the one now. There's no double dipping. There's no waiting until, kind of seeing how rosters develop. And then I'm going to jump in. We are seeing some pretty early commitment. And because these guys aren't technically in the portal, to my understanding right now, they're just announcing hey, I plan to jump into the portal. Yeah. Because we basically have, it's not quite a month at this point, being that it's the 10th. But we do have 3 weeks until we're in the portal. We got a ways. And so I wonder if this is a way for the players to kind of take a look at who's out there, where's, who's moving, at least, not where they're necessarily going. I expect this portal to be chaos. This is going to be big for a few programs. I will say, obviously Iowa State is on the top of my mind. We'll see what Jimmy Rogers is able to do as far as rebuilding or keeping guys and all of things of that sort. I expect Iowa State to lose a fair amount of players. We'll see. I will say signs are pointing in the right direction for Iowa State right now, but we'll see as it pans out. I'm not entirely sure that the transfer portal is in the exact right spot, but I do think we made a step in the right direction with it being one portal window. How do you feel about the way that they're running it this year as, in comparison to years past?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's in the right direction. I don't think it's perfect yet. I don't know if it's ever going to be perfect. It's such a tough thing to do. You're trying to put it in a spot to where most teams can only focus on that. You're not focusing on recruiting. You're not focusing on bowl games or college ball playoffs. But then you also have the most important part, which not many people think about in the sports realm, is making sure they have enough time to prepare and register for classes. Right? This is still college. This is still, this is something that people forget about, that they also have, to actually try and earn a degree, attempt at least. And they have to do all the things and to make sure that's happening. So I think it's in the right spot right now, at least for trying to switch it to a one window only. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be absolutely crazy. I think it's going to be wild.
What is your opinion on the situation going on at Arizona State right now, with players being able to play in their bowl game, even if they're in the portal? Yes. Yes. I'm glad we're on the same
Dillingham
page.
brought it up the other day, and they were discussing, the thought process. And of course, this all stemmed on the Sam Leavitt, his rumor of him expecting to enter the transfer portal. And he came out and said, he goes, look, if you were thinking about entering the transfer portal and you still want to game prep with us, you still want to be in the bowl game with us, that's fine, because this is the 2025 Arizona State football team. That transfer portal, that stuff is for 2026. He's we're talking about how they're in a weird window right now, and they absolutely are. I think he attacked that perfectly, and for multiple reasons. One, you want to make sure you had the most players available for your bowl game.
That's a player's move. That's a player's move.
Right? And then also on the flip side, even if players are leaving your program, that shows that you are ready to have a relationship with that said player or any player in your organization until the day they leave. If you're a player that is in the portal from a different school and you're considering a school like Arizona State, and you hear that saying, yeah, we'll have your back all the way up until the end, even if you decide to say that Arizona State's not the right choice for you anymore, why would you not want to go there? That sounds like a huge culture win for Arizona State. In a world of transfer portal where it's going to be wild, where they only have one window only. This isn't the same recruiting thing as a high school recruiting where you go and sit on their couch and talk to mama and talk about them for 30 minutes. And you text them every night for a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. You talk them from being a sophomore all the way up until they say, I commit and put your hat on National Signing Day. That's not like this with the transfer portal. You have about 10-day window to say, hey, I'm in the portal. Maybe look at a little bit of your tape, decide if you're a good culture fit, decide if you're a right pick for them, and then just say, hey, come register for classes. That's it. So if you can do these smaller things, to me, that was Kenny Dillingham speaking to the world. That was him saying, hey, if you're considering Arizona State, this is how I will treat you as a player until the day you are ready to leave this program. So I love it. I absolutely love what he said there.
Yeah, I think that that was the right answer. And I think that that's basically what I've heard from Kenny Dillingham is that he gets it. Like he's a level-headed guy. That's the right play. And not even just from like Arizona State being correct and him being a correct coach, like humans. That's probably like, it's not fair that they like whatever the reason is that they're leaving. Like I'm sure that they can opt out if they want and not go to practice and stuff. Like they can do both as long as you allow them to do one of them. You have control over that situation. Another name that kind of popped up really quick as I was just doing some quick research, Nick Marsh, 2025, unbelievable receiver for Michigan State. Another name potentially to look out for. Is that a name that you're thinking could make waves in this portal? I mean, I do think this portal is going to be insane. Like there's going to be a ton of movement, but this is a name that at wide receiver, I think could make noise.
Yep. I think he's insane. Yeah. I think that he's one of the big wide receivers. I'd be excited to see what Auburn's Horatio Fields does. I'd be excited to see what, a couple of the Perry Thompson from Auburn, a couple of wide receivers that, Auburn's receiving core, everybody talked about how talented that receiving core was, and they didn't really pan out this past year. So a couple of them are entering the portal. I think we're going to hear a couple other big names as well, but Nick Marsh definitely excites me. I wonder if he stays in the Big Ten. Or, the fact we've heard for years about Ohio State always getting the wide receivers, but their wide receiver coach, the one that was there for the long time, Brian Hartline, is now the new head coach at USF. So I wonder if he steals a couple, right? And so a lot of interesting things going on about that. Does he have the NIL budget to steal some wide receivers? Does the Alabama wide receiver coach, Jamarcus Shepard, who's now the head coach of Oregon State, go and chase some of these guys, right? So interesting things.
Well, that's what's so tough about this portal. Like you bring up, like, do you think Nick Marsh will stay in the Big Ten? No, I don't think so initially. That's my initial thought, right? And then you're like, well, Ohio State and this former wide receiver coach, but now he's at USF. Well, does Nick Marsh value that coaching experience? Because if he does, it's probably you can't have that and the NIL, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too, which is maybe my my least favorite saying of all time.
Everything is so short-lived with this transfer portal. It helps a lot right now that they're expected to enter the portal because the agents are working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I think you have to rely on relationships because, as I mentioned, you're not being recruited for year in and year out since your sophomore season. Even if you decide to enter the portal now, at the very most, you have a month to talk to other teams to either decide where you're going for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years of your college career. And when you're talking about some of these bigger guys like a Marsh, like Sam Leavitt, you're doing it to make sure you're ready to get the best spot so you can become an NFL player. So, this is tough to me. I think you have to value a lot of things. You have to put a lot of things forward, and relationships have to be one of the biggest priorities.
That's such an insightful, good work there, Christian. What a play. Because there's going to be those top guys at the very top. I would say Sam Leavitt is in this conversation of like,
for sure,
they can go anywhere. Everybody knows who they are. A lot of schools probably want them. They're willing to pay for them to come play for them. Those guys, it's not as much about relationships. Like it's definitely about relationships, but money's involved as well. And this is what I alluded to earlier, not to make this an Iowa State conversation, but I do think Iowa State's definitely a team that could get stripped of a lot of players. So a lot of people are going to want to hear about Iowa State. Like Iowa State being in the Midwest and Jimmy Rogers being at SDSU for as long as he was and only spent a year out of Washington State, he's recruited a lot of these guys. So a lot of the top tier talent that Iowa State has, I don't have an answer for. But the other guys, there is an existing relationship there. That's what I feel so good about. And to your point, those guys who are like third on the depth chart at offensive linemen or third on the depth chart at like, corner or safety or whatever, they don't have a ton of noise. They don't have a ton of film. Like they might leave to go to JMU, like Isaiah Alston did last year for Iowa State at wide receiver. Like there isn't a ton of like guys who are deeper on the depth chart going from Iowa State to Ohio State. It's just not that common. I think the relationships portion is very, very big. And I think Iowa State actually has a good shot at retaining a lot of talent because of Jimmy Rogers being from the Midwest.
Rocco Beck, does he stay or does he go?
Right now, you want me to give you my opinion, my guess?
Yeah.
He stays. I think he stays.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm misreading the social media post, but I think he stays. And I think everyone in Iowa State Nation, as Cyclone Nation, is extremely excited. The question, I think, is if he stays and he beats Iowa next season, if Kyle Conradi stays and beats Iowa on a game-winning field goal next season, do they get statues outside of Jack Trice? Because I would be willing to donate to make that statue, man.
Interesting. You got cool with these statues talks, man. That's what you
I know.
cool
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, we're gonna have a field of statues out there at some point.